Hey, this is Matt from InvestiQuant. Today is Monday, May 24, 2021. This morning we looked at a study based upon what has happened historically on the day after options expiration in May. That study suggested more often than not the market went higher on this day, and we are seeing that play out so far in this session. As we trade near the highs of the session here in 3 of the 4 instruments, you can see the S&P up there hanging right near that round number 4,200. NASDAQ in that bottom left chart is hanging up near the highs, as well as the Dow, which is in the bottom right chart. The Russell's really the only one that is not holding up as well, as it trades right around its opening print. But we've seen mostly strong moves higher so far today on this day after options expiration in May, and I figured we'd take a look at that same study since it's playing out and see what it has done as we approach the close of the session. So let me go ahead and set this up again, just like we did this morning. The only thing I'm going to be changing from this morning's study is what time the entry is. So when we looked at it this morning, we were using the intraday open as the setup, which meant it was getting long at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it was exiting at the close. And that was the one that showed the favorable bias to the long side, historically speaking. Now I have moved it out to an intraday time-based entry that's using 3 o'clock as the entry time, and it's still exiting at that same 4:15 p.m. Eastern time. So this one is just waiting until the end of the session to get long, and I will set it up by going into the calendar section and saying that it is May for the month. And in the market events library, I'm going to say it's the day after options expiration day. So I've got both of those selected now. I can click view results. And here we go. These are the results based upon entering the market long at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, exiting at the close, which is 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time, when it is the day after options expiration day in May. So we've got those same 18 samples to look at that we looked at this morning, and looking at those, the win rates on them are quite a bit weaker than what we saw this morning. If you remember at the open, the S&P was showing a 67% win rate. So 67% of those, historically speaking, have closed above the opening print. When we move this out to 3 p.m., it becomes 50-50. So absolutely no lean in either direction here, just dead neutral on what has happened historically. The NASDAQ was a 50-50 win rate off of the open. It gets a little bit weaker here as it approaches the close at 44%. The Dow was a 72% win rate if entering at the open, and when we move it out to 3 p.m., you see it's at 44%, and then the Russell was 61% entering at the open. Now it's up to 67% entering at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So really, it is only the Russell which has gotten any stronger by waiting until later in the day. The other ones have all gotten weaker, and it's a decent difference between some of those numbers, especially like the Dow that went from 72 down to 44, S&P 67 down to 50. So these have gotten weaker as you move it out closer to the end of the session. And then we also saw that the average moves were larger to the upside if entering at the open. If we look at it here at the end of the session, it looks like the larger average move for the S&P has been on the downside. Very similar average win and average loss for the NASDAQ here. The Dow, the larger moves have been to the downside, and the Russell, the larger moves have been to the downside. So win rates have gotten weaker, and the average moves have become larger to the downside by waiting until the end of the session on this day after options expiration day in May. So hopefully you found that helpful. Good luck today. We'll see you next time.